Hi, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to our podcast today. These podcasts are brought to you in part by our sponsors, who really truly are what make these podcasts possible every week. O'Fallon Nutrition is a company that I've worked with for over 15 years. They're independently owned and operated, located here in O'Fallon, Missouri, right off of Highway K and Mexico Road. I call this place the Whole Foods of St. Charles County, but even if you are not located on this side of the river, it is still worth the drive. I can remember working all the way down at Powerhouse and still sending people out to O'Fallon Nutrition for their supplements. They are more than a supplement company. You can get grass-fed beef, salad dressing, seasoning for your cooking, hair care products, makeup, deodorant, toothpaste, essential oils, and all the vitamins and minerals that you can think of. If you're looking for clean, whole food nutrition, as well as home care, house care, skincare products, O'Fallon Nutrition is your place. You can take a look at them at o'fallonnutrition.com, or if you'd like to have something shipped, if you're listening to me from outside of St. Louis, you can certainly have items shipped. I know they do free shipping if it's an order over $50, and the phone number is 636-240-5283. Again, it's o'fallonnutrition.com. As well as if preparing your food on a weekly basis is your primary excuse for why you're not able to stay on a good, clean eating program, which is something that I hear very regularly from my clients, I would ask you to please take the time to check out Pure Plates. It's pureplatesstl.com. They are a phenomenal place. We get our food from there during the week. They deliver to our Integrity location. They will deliver to your house. They also are just available for pickup. You can go to their Chesterfield location or their Kirkwood location and just pick up meals for the day, as well as just having them delivered right to your door. So if preparing your food is your main excuse for why you cannot stay on a healthy eating program, then I would suggest just stop by Pure Plates. Just try it. If you're trying to lower your blood pressure, you're trying to lower your cholesterol, you're trying to get your blood sugar down, try to do Pure Plates meals for a week and just see how different you feel. These are organic meals. They are gluten-free. If you need them to be, they can be dairy-free. They are soy-free. You're not taking any processed sugars or meat-curing agents or preservatives. They really, truly believe in nutrient-dense meals that are just whole food nutrition. And I've had my clients, or I've made recommendations for my clients for years at Pure Plates. It's pureplatesstl.com, or you can call them to ask questions at 636-778-3555. Again, remembering that they have a location in Chesterfield as well as in Kirkwood that you can just run by and pick up a meal today. Everyone always asks me where I get my meat from, and given that I really eat meat on a daily basis, typically beef primarily, my meat is very important to me. I have an autoimmune condition and I want grain-free, corn-free meat, and I just haven't found the confidence in stores in knowing that I'm getting 100% grass-fed, grass-finished beef. And I have searched and searched and searched for the right farm, and I have found the farm. It's fedfromthefarm.com, fed, F-E-D, from thefarm.com. These farmers are amazing. It's a family. They're here in Missouri, and they have the desire, just like I do, to see people well and to see people healthy, and they put a lot into what they do. It's such a wonderful family to support. They do offer 100% grass-finished, grass-fed, meaning that's it. A beef, and I get my ribeyes, I get my ground beef, my ground sirloin, I get my chuck roast. I mean, they basically have everything. They even have awesome jerky, but they also have eggs, they have chickens, and they have turkey. I'm planning on getting a turkey for Thanksgiving, and if you'd like lamb, they have that as well. But if you are in need of good quality grass-fed, grass-finished beef, or quality eggs, chicken, turkey, don't just settle for what you're getting at the local store. to go out on the internet and check out Fed from the Farm. That you can arrange a pickup or you can have it delivered to your home. And I can guarantee you're going to taste the difference. For me, my health actually depends on it. So I really thank God to have found such a great farmer. Fedfromthefarm.com. I hope it blesses you.
Welcome to Faith, Fuel, and Fitness, the Integrity Way, with your hosts, John and Debbie Morris from Integrity Training Systems.
Hey everybody, this is John and Debbie Morris with Integrity Training Systems on Real Talk 93.3. We actually have in studio with us today Sophie Morris as well. Hi, Sophie.
Hi.
Sophie is our daughter. We always like to start the show, if you've never been with us before, talking about what it means to be a warrior. And the definition of a warrior is a brave or experienced soldier or fighter. And I always like to point out the ors because a lot of people might think they're not brave enough to take something on, or they may feel like they're not a soldier because they're not actively in the military. But I like to tell people that you are experienced and you are a fighter, because experience comes with doing anything in life. And being a fighter just means you've had to overcome something you've done in life. So if you've lived at all, then you are an experienced fighter, which makes you a warrior. And we always like to talk about just warrioring through things and what that looks like. And everybody has their own battles that they deal with on a daily basis. And we wanted to talk to Sophie a little bit about that today, just some things that she's had to warrior through. As a 12-year-old, some of us might remember what it was like to be that age and the things that were important to us and the things that weren't. But it's just a different battle than it is for an adult. And I just think it's fascinating to watch how different kids deal with different things and overcome different things. So, Soph, what are some things that you feel like you've had to warrior through lately?
Finals, definitely. We had finals last week of school. And a lot of kids are really scared about finals and really scared about their grades and how it will affect them personally. And most kids at my school have a very high standard for grades. So it's really hard, when you don't get the best score on finals and, maybe your grade drops some. For most kids, that's a really big deal, including me.
Right.
So this year I really had to put, work into work all year so far. That way, I was prepared for finals.
Yes.
And, I don't think everybody does that. And so, everybody was kind of freaking out this past week about finals. But if you're really prepared and you're, being prepared to be the warrior through finals, then you're completely fine.
That's one thing that we've really drilled into Sophie as she's grown up is preparation, just always being prepared for anything that she has to take on in life, and a lot of people deal with procrastination instead of preparation. And what they do is they'll wait until the very last second to do what needs to be done. And what's insane about that is, we've talked about that before, that actually is a large part of the creation of most people's anxiety, is waiting to do something that they know they should have already done. And, we've just had different times with Sophie where, just over the years, learning experiences where she'll, wait to do homework or put something off. And, we've watched it really, she's watched it affect her. So she's just built a parameter inside of herself where she doesn't allow that to happen anymore. She has started practicing the discipline that we talk about every week to make sure that she keeps up with stuff.
I think the anxiety that comes from a lack of preparation is wholeheartedly probably the bulk of the reason why people are anxious on a regular basis.
Yeah.
And the trickle down effect that comes from that lack of preparation turns into something so much worse because, I procrastinated. I didn't get myself, set up the day before. I'm not really equipped to go through my day. So now I'm not only anxious because I'm rushed, because I don't have all that I need to be equipped for this day, but I'm going to eat and drink something that I really should not eat or drink because I'm not prepared. And so I'm looking for convenience. I'm looking for fast. I'm looking for something that I can just get my hands on. And so I'm going to go ahead and drink this drink, or I'm going to go ahead and eat this, snack because I wasn't prepared. I didn't make myself a breakfast. I didn't bring myself a snack. And now that lack of preparedness has now changed your brain. It's changed your body. It's changed your blood sugar. It's going to change your mood. It's going to change a lot for that day. And so we think we need a medication for what's happening, the panic attack feeling that you're having right now, just this overwhelming sense of anxiety. But what really needed to happen was like what Sophie said was, I just started my year off different. I just decided I was going to approach homework differently. I'm not putting it off. The minute she gets home, she starts her homework. Like she doesn't go and sit on the sofa. She doesn't turn something on the TV. She literally sits down with food and does her homework. That gets done first. Second thing that gets done is practice violin. She got invited to be in the honors orchestra because of that. That work, that preparedness has paid off. So if she just came home and kind of turned on the TV, grabbed an iPad, kind of randomly did whatever, I don't think she'd be as prepared as she was for those finals. So she made that decision. Now, for someone who didn't make the decision to be prepared, and that next day they're waking up to pure anxiety because they're rushing around, they can't find their stuff, they overslept, they pressed the snooze button, and now they've gone ahead and had some bad food and had something bad to drink, and they're going to the doctor and they're talking to the doctor about how every day they feel like they're having a panic attack or every day they're feeling anxious. What we want to do instead of jumping on a medication is we want to figure out how can we change the game? How can we change the plan? What can we do the night before? Sophie's clothes are always set out the night before. Sophie knows what she's having for breakfast the next day. She goes downstairs, she grabs it from the refrigerator. It doesn't have to be prepared. Sophie's lunch is made the night before. Sophie's drink is made the night before. So she doesn't wake up, right? I mean, you don't wake up running around wondering, what am I going to do today?
Yeah, because I have the same routine every morning. It's, get up, get ready, get rolling, and then, you head downstairs, get breakfast that's already in the fridge, pack the lunch, and then make sure I have all my books and I'm ready to be out the door.
Absolutely. And I mean, you pack your lunch the night before. We don't even pack your lunch in the morning because something could happen in the morning where you don't have enough time for that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and the thing about disciplinary routine is it sets the precedence for the rest of your day, and neurology and psychology are very closely attached. You'll get people that deal with anxiety and they'll be told like, well, just don't be anxious. And it's like, well, why hadn't I not thought about trying that? Like, let me just go ahead and not be anxious. And this could be someone who's neurologically predisposed to having anxiety. But stay with me for a second. If you are already neurologically predisposed or genetically predisposed to having chronic anxiety, what are you doing to prevent it at the root possibility of getting rid of it?
Like what
before you
control?
medicate it? Are you living prepared? Are you removing and alleviating as much of that stress as you can? Are you practicing techniques to not focus on the things that can't be handled at this moment? Are you practicing routines to handle the things that need to be handled as quickly as possible? Are you eating clean? Are you not drinking garbage that's going to accelerate your brain and cause you to go into a state of anxiety? Are you eating things that are going to not only change your neurology and cause you to have anxiety, but potentially cause you to forget and or not do the things you're supposed to do? There's a dopamine hit that comes with consumption of things like energy drinks, candy, things like that. So you get your dopamine hit and now you're on your high. Oh, I'll just put that off until tomorrow because you're having a quote unquote good day now. Now it's tomorrow. You're freaking out. It's like, do future you a favor and start acknowledging how crappy current you feels. And what can you do to change that? Instead of saying I have anxiety and I wish I didn't, instead of calling in sick to work that day, instead of having to stay home or not go to school, think about what got you there. It's not just that you have anxiety. You have anxiety because something is happening. And as someone who has a neurological predisposition to anxiety and depression, I get to sit here and tell you that. You can't say, well, yeah, you can do it, but I can't, because I can do it. And I have what you're saying you have that you may not even have. You might be giving it to yourself. So take a step back and consider, what am I consuming? Am I living prepared? Am I living disciplined? And is there something I can do that's actually within my control instead of trying to control the things that are not?
I think just basically setting yourself up with an agenda for your day, for your week, scheduling out, when am I going to get these things done? Instead of just saying, I need to make time for myself. We all need to make time for ourselves. Okay. That's probably the truth. But the reality is quit focusing on, I need to make time for myself, and just get up and do what you need to do to be prepared for the next day. Don't go through this whole process of talking about how you put your kids first, how you put your husband first, how you put your wife first, how you put your job first. Who cares? Get up, get yourself ready for the next day. Figure out what you're going to eat tomorrow. Figure out what you're going to drink tomorrow. Figure out what you're going to wear tomorrow. Do your dishes before you go to bed so you don't wake up to a mess. Make your bed when you first wake up so you don't come home to a mess. Just get yourself prepared for the next day. You're going to cut 50% of your anxiety out. I'm telling you, life's going to hit you and more stuff's going to come, but you're going to cut 50% of it out. For more information on what we do with a 6-month nutrition program at Integrity Training Systems, take a look at integritytrainingsystems.com or give us a call, 636-299-2208. For gluten-free, dairy-free baked goods delivered to your door from my personal bakery, take a look at sophiesbakery.com. And for 100% grass-fed beef, the only meat that the Morris family will eat, take a look at fedfromthefarm.com.
Welcome back, everybody. John and Debbie Morris with Integrity Training Systems on Real Talk 93.3. Again, we are here with our daughter Sophie in studio today. We just got done talking about what it means to be a warrior, and we kind of got into a lot to do with being prepared and being ready, having the discipline to be prepared. And it's always fascinating to me because the word that a lot of people use when they talk about wanting to do the things that I do is motivation. They talk about wanting to work out. They talk about being prepared or what I do for a living. And they're like, man, I just wish I had your motivation on that. And I think that's such an interesting change of word because motivation is such a sensory pleasing thing to have that it's like that's what they think they have to be successful. And I'm like, I got news for you. Like a lot of times I don't have any motivation. And a lot of people are going to laugh about this, or maybe they just will have their minds blown. But I hate working out. Like, I can't stand it. Jason Momoa says this. Jason Momoa is Aquaman. The dude's insanely jacked, right? Well, he says the only reason he works out is to be a role. He hates working out. I'm similar to that. Now, I work out for more than just a role. I work out because I want to be healthy. I want to be well. I want to stick around for my wife and daughter. But like, it's not motivation. Occasionally I'll have a great pump going. Occasionally I'll be doing something and I'm like, this is exciting. This is fun. But man, that is not why I do the things I do. So I challenge you to flip your brain on this and quit thinking you have to be motivated to do something, because that day may never actually come, and start implementing disciplinary patterns to get stuff done. And an example I want to give of that is, we've always tried to keep Sophie very healthy ever since she was a little kid. She had extreme stomach distension. She had an intestinal disease. She had all sorts of things that were occurring in her stomach. We've known for a long time. Finally, within the last 2 years, I guess, we were able to get a couple of very high-profile doctors on her case, looking at the logistics and the things going on inside of her body. And we're just able to discern this whole host of issues that she had. And her entire life, we've attempted to have her mom, which is my ex-wife, she's from my previous marriage, on board. And her mom would try. She would do things to try to get her to be able to eat cleaner. She would try to bring gluten-free options in, but ultimately would always end up reverting and allowing her to have the things that she had had beforehand, whether it be that her new husband cooked something or her little brother had something. And we just fought this battle for a really long time. And finally, it came to a head where we found out that Sophie was even like hiding stuff from us, hiding food, or, hiding that she had consumed things and not telling us. And I just want to brag on her for a minute, because what ultimately ended up happening is I got really mad and I went to her and I was like, you're going to have to grow up on this. Like this, Debbie and I had a sit down conversation with her. And it's like, sometimes kids have to grow up on things really early their parents die in a car accident or their parents overdose on drugs. Like, you have two really great households, but you got to quit eating garbage. So what are we going to do to grow up on this and take ownership of this? You've listened to us talk about what it means to be healthy and what it takes for 12 years of your life, or at the time of the conversation, 11. So you got to turn it around. So Soph, talk a little bit about, like, what was your mentality? What happened? What was the shift where you were like, you know what? I can do this. And even when I'm at mom's, I'm going to make a point to do it on my own.
Probably just like the fact of me knowing how unhealthy I was and knowing like why I needed to do it. I mean, I always knew, but I, didn't really have the motivation even after like, you guys saying it for that long.
Right.
Because it doesn't really matter if you're saying that. Like, you're always going to want something that
Yes.
you can't have.
That's human nature.
So I just realized that I wanted to get better. I needed to get better. So I just decided then and there that I was going to do it.
Well, and that's what you have to do. So many, right. I mean, that's amazing. You made that decision at 11. There are adults
10? She
in
was 10
10.
when she made the
10.
decision.
Okay. So yeah, there's my brain for you, my memory, but 10 years old. So if you're listening, I'm not trying to like dime you out or call you out here, but like, if you're an adult and you're listening to a 10-year-old decide to take her health serious before you do, like, take account on that. That's a 10-year-old that is making her own food at her mom's house. Like, she's prepping her own food to take to a party so that she doesn't eat pizza with a bunch of 12-year-olds. Okay. So like, understand, she's going to the skating rink and they're having popcorn and soda and pizza and she's not eating it. They're having a Halloween party and there's candy everywhere and she's not eating it because she's made the decision to be healthy. She's acknowledged, like, you know what? I do want to be well. I don't want to be sick. I do want to be a healthy adult. And the final point I want to make, and this one always stings a little bit, is like, if you are a parent saying the reason you can't be healthy is because of your children, I want you to listen to take this after you listen to this on the radio and look us up online and pull it back up as a podcast and listen to what she just said. Listen to a 12-year-old say she wanted to be well. Okay. What are you telling your child when they tell you they won't eat clean and they want whatever? What are you telling them? Are you giving in because it's easier? Are you giving in because they're throwing a fit? Are you being a friend instead of a parent? Because I'm going to tell you right now, if you're struggling and you're 30, 40, 50 years old and they're 8, just imagine how hard it's going to be on them when they're 30, 40, or 50 years old.
Well, we watched basically 8 years of Sophie's life. We watched the give-in. We watched what happened when it just was given into. And so overall, what ended up happening was we were feeding a parasite, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, an inflammatory infection. All three of those things were happening at one time in her gut. And the turning point was when we were about ready to buy a size 12 pant, and she was only 10. And the only reason we were buying a size 12 pant was to fit her waist. Her legs on the pant were so big that it looked like she was wearing a potato sack on each leg. But we had to buy that size pant so that she could not be miserably uncomfortable. And at the size 12, I just think as a family, we just sat down and we were like, we've got to do something different. We have to do something different. And so the reality is that we lived that life. We went 8 years and didn't want conflict and didn't want to have an argument with anybody. And then finally, at that point, that turning point, at that size 12, hired the doctors, got the blood tests, got all of the different stool tests, all the different tests, and realized we're dealing with a medical issue that is going to be so much greater in Sophie as she ages. And so when you're using your kids as the excuse, what you want to understand is when they have infertility in their 20s, when they have PCOS, when they have major immune issues, it's because of the things that we're just passing by right now as kids. And I know that's a really sharp thing to have to think about, but we are building their immune system right now at this age. For more information on what we do with our 6-month nutrition program at Integrity, take a look at integritytrainingsystems.com or give us a call for a free personal fitness assessment at 636-299-2208. For gluten-free, dairy-free baked goods delivered to your door from my personal bakery, take a look at sophiesbakery.com. And for 100% grass-fed beef, the only meat that the Morris family will eat, take a look at fedfromthefarm.com.
Welcome back, everybody. John and Debbie Morris with Integrity Training Systems on Real Talk 93.3. So far, been a good show. If you're just tuning in with us, we've been talking about our daughter, Sophie, at the age of 12, being as healthy as she is, and that kind of happening from the age of 10 until now. We kind of fought a battle for the first decade to get her to be well. And just the decision, that was made by a 10-year-old to want to live life and to want to be well. And some of the changes that happened were that, as Deb was saying in the last segment, she was approaching a size 12. Is that what it was? Size 12 pant. And it was only for the waist. It was way too big everywhere else. The thing you have to understand is Sophie has been working out. She's been in the gym atmosphere with us since she was a child, and a young child, like 2. I remember having a picture of her hanging from TRX rings at 2. So it's like she's been in the gym. And if you looked at her, you could tell her face was really swollen, and you could see that her body was swollen, but her arms and legs weren't. That's what shows you that it's actually swelling and a lot of unhealthy fluid and not just body fat. Of course, she lost some body fat as well. But when she decided to make the change, when she locked in, which she already did at our house, and she locked in at her mom's house and started really taking everything she put in her body serious, she went from a size 12 to a size 6 and kind of a size 4. Some of her size 6s are big, and lost 20 pounds? 22 pounds in 2 months.
8 weeks.
So 8 weeks, 22 pounds and 6, almost 8 pant sizes. And I just want to make something really clear here. She didn't hit puberty. Like she didn't have baby fat. This is something that is so asinine to me to even think about. And what it is I had clients, people in our gym that know what we do for a living, have watched the results we've created in adults that were like, well, yeah, but like she looks like she's getting a little bit older. Like, don't you just think that she's getting taller? No, her height hadn't changed. She got thinner, and her face looked older because it wasn't round. It wasn't puberty. She wasn't losing baby fat. 10-year-olds don't have baby fat. I'm sorry to break that myth for you. What 10-year-olds have, if they've been chubby, is fat from when they were a baby.
Right.
Like, it's not baby fat anymore. It has to be addressed. Now she has hit puberty. Now she is growing taller. Now her face is changing. And guess what? She's substantially taller, and she's still lighter. So she has growth on her body, height on her body, new muscle on her body, and she's lighter than she was. So quit waiting around for your kid to lose their body fat or think it's no big deal, it's just body fat, because it's not. And so talk a little bit about what you do to be prepared. So like, when we're at our house, we know that we buy meals from Pure Plates, things like that for you, but you've had to do some of that on your own at your mom's house. So as a 12-year-old, explain some of the things that you'll do over there.
So I've always loved cooking, so it's not really a big deal to like cook my meals, for the week, or even like dinners and lunches and stuff like that. So I haven't been doing this as much lately because I've, been having school, and, that was the summer. So I kind of had to have, everything done. We would pick a meat for the week. So like hamburger, salmon, chicken, like the basic things like that. And then I would, make it however I wanted it. Like with hamburger, I could like, crumple it up and make it into like taco meat and stuff. And I can make salads with it and, different things like that. And then I would normally pick like a basic vegetable, like green beans, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, things like that I know I like for sure and that I don't get tired of. And then I would just put those together and eat them for dinner and lunches. And, breakfast was kind of different. I would, make smoothies and eggs and, things like that.
And you were actually making the food, right? Like you were air frying some of it, or then you were doing some in the skillet, things like that as well. So it's like
Sophie's been in the kitchen. The very first time Sophie made an egg, she was 2.
right.
That's the first time she made an egg.
Right.
It was when she was 2. Sophie's always been in the kitchen. We've never not had Sophie in the kitchen. Every major family event that we have, one of my biggest helpers and contributors is Sophie. She's had a child's knife set since she was 5. You can slice it down your finger and it won't even cut you, but yet she can cut her own food. She's learned how to make chicken. She's learned how to make eggs. She's learned how to make salmon. She's learned how to make hamburger. All of that is because we've made it to where we didn't put her on an iPad. We didn't put her on a movie. We put her on a stool in the kitchen and we made her learn how to make everything that we make. And we got her engaged and we actually taught her how to do it. And so now she knows how to do it.
And if you're someone who you're sitting there as an adult and you're like, well, I don't even know how to do it. I can't teach my daughter that. So first off, learn. There's YouTube videos. Like I can't tell you the amount of stuff that I fix. Like I look really smart because I use the YouTubes. Mm-hmm. Like I'll be like, Alexa, how do I do insert whatever I have no idea how to do here? And I figure it out. So learning how to cook, use YouTube. Go to somebody that knows how to cook.
I've done
Go
it.
to a cooking
I do it
class.
like that all the time. I get these Le Creuset pans. Twice now I've said how to bake a whole chicken in a
And that's what I
Le
was going to
Creuset
say.
pan.
Like you can follow,
In an oval Le Creuset pan.
Right.
That is what I did
Right.
last weekend.
And then you even make a video, like a tutorial for other
Right.
people to follow. So it's
Acting like I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
All
right.
I'm doing
Yeah,
is
great.
it's just not
Changing
that
it up.
complicated.
But see, it's like this
and I
stuff's
change it
out
up
there.
and put different ingredients in because I like it that
Yes.
way. But I got the basis from that.
But your kid, you can set your kid up for success. And then another thing is maybe that's why you're not meal prepping. Maybe that's why you're not cooking is because you don't know how to. So it's like, look at the benefits, the trickle down of you just taking something serious and you doing what needs to be done for you. Your kid's going to benefit from that. And I assure you, like, even if your child doesn't acknowledge as an adult that they're thankful for you taking the time to help make them healthy, they're gonna be well. So you don't do it for their thanks. You don't do it for their friendship. You don't do it because it's easy. You do it because as a parent, you're in a position where I always tell people my job is to make my daughter better than me. That's my job. It is to provide and create a scenario where she's more successful than I am. She's happier than I am. She's healthier than I am. That's just how I look at it. So when I look at a situation where I would allow my daughter to be sick or tired all the time or never feeling well, like one thing that Sophie and I had a conversation about around the time that she started getting well was I don't like complaining. And so like when you ask somebody how they're doing, the first response, like being something super negative or I'm just tired or something like that. It's like, man, like why do we have to spend our whole day complaining? Well, I'll tell you why we have to spend our whole day complaining. People don't feel well. And so when Sophie would come home, she'd come home from school and she'd be like, in the evening, she'd be at the gym and she'd be like, I'm tired, Dad. How about you? Are you tired? She got to where she would ask me that every day. And she gets up and goes to school like every kid does. Well, I get up at 3:30 sometimes in the morning. 4 or 4:10 at the latest. I start work at 5, and most times I work straight through till 8:30 at night. And I don't go home till 9, and I don't go to bed till 11. So if you work those numbers out, if somebody should have the quote-unquote right to be tired, it's probably me. But there's no strength or benefit in talking about it. And if I allow myself to be unwell, then it's going to be at the forefront of my mind at all times. So Sophie got to a point after that conversation where she decided she wasn't going to say that anymore, but then she got healthy. And once she got healthy, she was able to acknowledge the change in her energy. So we got a few minutes left in this segment. So talk a little bit about your energy. Talk about the change with getting healthy and well in your energy as a kid.
And even like vacation and just how the difference in how you felt.
Yes.
Yeah. So we went on vacation in, what was it, June?
Yes.
Yes.
And
we had just gone in November.
yeah,
the
we had
year
gone
before,
we had gone in November.
before the food change.
And I started changing my food like
February.
kind of like, February. And so by, that 2 months, it was, like getting closer to June, and I just felt so much better. Like in November, I was just so tired.
Yes.
I would have to come in from like swimming because I just like couldn't keep going. I was so tired. And then,
Right.
we walked after dinner every night, and I just, like felt so tired while walking around. I would ask, how much longer are we going to go?
Yes.
Like how many more blocks are we going to walk?
And your feet would hurt.
And
Yeah.
her feet would hurt. It's real stuff. It's not like she was a little kid. Like,
Back would
are
hurt.
we there yet? Like, she was in pain. Her feet would hurt. Her back would hurt.
We would see it.
Because of
Yeah.
inflammation. You would see the way she was moving. She would try not to complain about it because she knows how I feel about complaining. But, she knows she can tell me if something's wrong. And sometimes she'd say that my feet just hurt or my back hurts. It's like a 10-year-old's back should not be hurting unless they've jumped off of a swing 8 feet in the air.
Especially if she's walking around in a pair of Hokas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It wasn't like,
and so,
you
so in November, that's the energy. She'd be slow walking next to us, and we would have to cut our walk short because we had to get her home. Like, I don't want my daughter walking around with pain in her feet, or pain in her back. Like, suck it up. The whole point is we're supposed to be walking around on vacation, enjoying each other's company. In June, we couldn't keep up with her. We were tired. She was running up the streets that we would be on and then running back to us and then running up and then running back to us and then running up to the hammocks, laying in the hammocks and running back to us. There's this little hill that's part of like a little park. She was running up the hill, down the hill. We walked the entire town. Like it was 4 to 5 times.
I mean, we were tired.
What we were able to walk.
Oh,
The months. I mean, and this is months difference. This is from November to June.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about 2 years later and intense athletic training. I'm talking about a change in food, exercise remaining the same as what she was basically already doing, and just being well.
And then we were taking her to the gym on vacation. We went to the gym and got workouts in. I mean, it's just unbelievable the difference. I mean, unbelievable.
And it just takes work. Like I'm not going to sit here and tell you it's easy. That is a lie. It is not easy. The concept is simple. Eat clean, exercise, be well. That's it. But it's not an easy thing to do. You're going to meet resistance. Our daughter at one point hid food from Debbie at school. She didn't want her to know she had it. I mean, I get that. Like, none of us want to feel like we're letting someone down. But she was hiding it because she already knew she shouldn't have it. And she's reversed out of that. She's like, well, that was ridiculous. I'm not doing that anymore. And it's like, so everybody's going to have hardships. And some people are like, well, don't you think that could create an eating disorder? Eating the garbage that life is providing to people is an eating disorder. Having to decide between whether or not you're going to be clean is the only battle of which you have a chance of not having an eating disorder. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
And what's pathetic is that being on a clean diet
is considered a
has
diet.
Somehow been, I guess, deemed as a diet. And therefore, a person would be disordered because they're eating clean regularly. Like, that's a really pathetic place that we've gotten ourselves to, if that's truly the case. And if that's what I'm going to be looked at upon as, then I'm fine with that. I will bear that cross because I am not putting toxic waste into my kid's body on a regular basis. I'm just not going down like that. For more information on a 6-month nutrition program with Integrity, take a look at integritytrainingsystems.com or give us a call at 636-299-2208. For gluten-free, dairy-free baked goods delivered from my personal bakery to you, take a look at sophiesbakery.com. And for 100% grass-fed beef, the only meat that the Morris family will eat, take a look at fedfromthefarm.com.
Welcome back, everybody. John and Debbie Morris with Integrity Training Systems on Real Talk 93.3. We're here in studio with our daughter, Sophie Morris. We've kind of been talking about what it means to be a kid, having to set disciplinary standards, be healthy, be well. So far, if you're just now tuning in, we've covered a lot of ground. We've talked about Soph getting healthy over the course of a 2-month time period where she went from, what was the weight stub?
Basically 150.
Yeah, to like 120, 125.
Okay, so 25, almost 30 pounds inside of 8 weeks. And so if you think about that, it's like, oh my gosh, were you starving her? Nope. She was eating clean. She just had so much inflammation on her body, so much swelling. And really, that's the most dangerous fluid, the most dangerous weight that you can have on your body. You know, obviously, we don't want to have body fat. Excess fat is hard on our heart, on our organs, our kidneys, everything about our body struggles under extra weight. But even worse than that is the inflammation and the fluid that ends up on the body, and that's what comes off first. I want to use a quote here that, man, I could only imagine if he had said this in today's like climate, what would have happened. So I'm going to do it and get the same response, which would be awesome. JFK said this live about children. He was talking about his schools because JFK was a huge proponent of kids being healthy and well. And he said, there is nothing, I think, more unfortunate than having soft, chubby, fat-looking children who go to watch their school play basketball every Saturday and regard that as their week's exercise.
Oh, wow.
And then he
would have destroyed the day.
Oh yeah.
But
won't that cause an eating disorder?
But here's what happens is you could pull that out of context. He continues by saying that our children deserve from our great country to live a full and fulfilled adventurous life. So what he's saying is when you see that aesthetic, that outward appearance, it is an expression of an inward health, and that we are robbing our children of the ability to enjoy the life that our country should be providing for them. Mm-hmm. And he continues by saying children are the world's most valuable resource and its best hope for the future. We can say with some assurance that although children may be victims of fate, they will not be victims of our neglect.
That's so good.
And that's really good. I mean, so his whole point is that it's our responsibility to give our children a life that they're capable of having. So if you're sitting around unhealthy, unwell, sad, depressed, anxious, and you have a child and you're just trying to make it, like your anxiety is too much to even have the potential conflicting conversation you think is going to come of opening up a topic with your child, they deserve that. Like you fathered that child. So your problems, that shouldn't be their problem.
Right.
You have to step your game up. And if you can't do that, like if you are literally so chemically imbalanced, come see us. Yeah. That's what we do. I already talked about it in the first segment. We get you well. Well, I do everything for my kids first. I do everything for my spouse first. Well, stop that. You're only as good as you are good.
Right.
So if you're not okay, you're not going to help them. It doesn't mean that they take a back seat. It doesn't mean this terrible thing of like, oh, I'm selfish, I'm narcissistic. No, it means that I have to be well to make you well. If you start to fall apart, they're going to fall apart. So quit stepping around this topic. Quit stepping around not being able to help your child be well for fear or, not wanting to be the bad guy or just not wanting to deal with it, and find a way to help them be healthy.
Absolutely. Sophie, tell me about, as a nutrition coach, I often have clients that say, well, I was at this party and I just really felt bad not having, the cake because it was there. And then, my best friend, I just felt like I was going to hurt her feelings if I just didn't have what she was having. So I just wasn't going to put her in that position. So people completely throw off their health. They're not okay. They're not healthy because of it. They end up taking medications because of what they do in these circumstances. Tell us about you and being 12 and being at school and going to parties and what do people say? You're a leader. So if you're a warrior, I know you handle these circumstances in a really positive manner, but I want to be real and talk about what happens and how they happen and how you handle it.
So, like, with parties and, birthdays and things like that, like, those are very often, at school and, having things at school. Like,
Yes.
For the winter season, like, we had a hot cocoa party and, like, a, whatever kind of party. So, with, those things, I don't get bothered because, everybody knows that I've made the, decision. And then if someone did say anything, then I would just explain, clearly, like, why I chose to do that and why I think it's good for me and why I'm standing where I'm standing. And I think that's really where the warrior comes in, because you have to be strong enough to tell people and not give in when other people are asking you to do something.
That's right.
You have to stand up for yourself and, stand up to them, but you don't cave in just because you want to be like everybody else.
You know what that sounds like is when I was in school, we had DARE, Drug Awareness Resistance Education or something like that. I don't remember it. I probably,
right, yeah.
Oh, sweet. Because I was like, man, my DARE officer is going to find me and fail me for getting that wrong. But like, did that not sound like that? That sounded just like it, right? So you're teaching your kid to think that way about drugs, but you can't do it over cheesy nachos at a football game.
Mm-hmm.
You can't do it over a couple beers or a glass of wine when entertaining a client.
Mm-hmm.
But you want your kid to avoid heroin. You want your kid to avoid alcohol. You want your kid to avoid all the drugs, right? But it's just food. It's not that big of a deal. Well, it is just food. So you should be able to avoid it easier. And so that's something that is fascinating to me. It's like food is the only drug that you are actually weird if you don't do it. It's like people will tell their family members don't do heroin. They'll tell their friends like, oh gosh, no, like don't go back to that. That's so bad for you. I wish you would just quit doing that. You'll tell an alcoholic to quit drinking. But you get someone who's got diabetes or ulcerated colitis or Hashimoto's disease, and they're out to eat, and their friends are like, oh, you can't just have one cheese stick. You can't just have one beer. Come on, man. You can't just have. Why is that? Like, what is that? You're talking about a health problem. And so I think one thing that I would suggest to you guys is if you are trying to change your life and you are following a nutrition plan and you are going to go out there and be strong enough to take your friends and family on, which I'm going to tell you right now, if they're questioning your health, they're probably not the people you want to surround yourself with. But stand on your health. I'm doing a thing. I'm trying to lose weight. Don't say that, because then everybody gets all like uppity about whether or not you need to lose weight. It's, I've got some different problems. I'm tired. I'm fatigued. You don't even have to go that deep if you don't want to. I've got some health things that I'm wanting to work through. And so I'm really just trying to better my own health. And this is kind of part of it, is not doing that. If they try to push you past that, you need to find a different circle.
And also it is just important to, I think, just recognize your why. The way we set Sophie up with changing her food, she got dramatic results and she felt nourished. Each day she felt satisfied and nourished. So she was able to say, this is why I'm doing this every day. This is why I'm going to continue to do this every day. I want to feel this good every day. You have to know what that reason is. You've got to have that vision of that health. And that's why you press into it so strongly every single day. If that's a picture of yourself healthy, I mean, Sophie's looked at pictures of herself and said, I don't want to go back to that, So you've got to keep reminding yourself over and over again, why am I doing this? So if we've got basically a minute left, is there anything, any seeds you want to plant, any way that you want to bless someone, any more information you want to give out?
I would just like to add on, I don't know who all is listening, but if you are, the person, asking, well, why can't you just have this? Why can't you just have this? It's really frustrating knowing how hard you work to put in the effort and be the warrior in the situation. And it's, really hard to face those things. And that's really one of the biggest reasons why, people go back, is just, peer pressuring and being pressured into doing things like eating bad foods or, drinking or, whatever the circumstances. But I don't be that person who is like,
support.
Well, just do that. Just support us, knowing that, we're doing something good for ourselves.
Yes.
Like, you want to do good things for yourself and I'm doing it, and then you're trying to bring me down while I'm doing it.
Yeah. But
so
you rise above.
Yeah, just don't be that person. And then if you are being the person, being asked that or told that, just don't listen. Like, you are strong and you can continue on with your decision. And if you haven't started the decision, start it now, because you will get good results that you will like and that you will love, and you will be very happy that you chose to do that thing.
Amen. Great job, Sophie. It's a blessing to have Sophie on. Just pray this message resonates with you and causes you to make a decision to change your life this year. We can help you. 6-month nutrition program. We have our 8-week transformation that is about to happen at the beginning of January. You can still sign up for. Take a look at us at integritytrainingsystems.com or give us a call at 636-299-2208. For gluten-free, dairy-free baked goods delivered to your door from my personal bakery, take a look at sophiesbakery.com. And for 100% grass-fed beef, the only meat that the Morris family will eat, take a look at fedfromthefarm.com. Thank you for listening, and God bless.